And here's Momo. Starts off pretty mild, but a couple turns in we get to pretty technical rock section with several options. And here I'm gonna gently get into the one I like the best. Little 3 foot or so drop there. Here we are at the beginning of Momo when it rolls into that first techie rock section. And you can see the roll angle here is actually pretty steep, but not terrible at this point in the game. You can roll all that coming down this side here, which is the line that I was enjoying the most. And then this will push you right into what I think is an extremely comfortable drop. The drop itself is only a few feet. You can see the takeoff is very flat, predictable. It's got a little bit of a downward slope, which helps kind of take some of the sketch factor out of it. And it has a really nice, crisp lip on the end, so you don't have to do any body English or funny stuff to land it clean. Then the landing area is really soft dirt. Kind of catches you at just the right angle. You can see that here. And then pretty predictable run out. The only thing that gets a little tricky is down at that next turn. You have to get on the brakes pretty quick if you want to make that. And here's one more look at that rock drop we were just filming with the bike for some perspective on how tall it is. Really not that bad. And with the nice flat ledge, a very forgiving, soft landing area, this would be a great place to progress if you're trying to get over that kind of 2 foot mark on your drops. Little 3 foot or so drop there. Just hard to control your speed coming out of it. This thing's rollable. It does push you to the right a little bit on the way up, so watch for that. And then more flow through the woods with a couple of rock sections that can be gapped. I think the next section worth talking about on this trail in terms of difficulty is these 2 rock bits. The one back up here is not too bad. You can roll that without much difficulty. You don't have to send it and gap, but it is smoother if you do, because there's a nice dirt area to land in. And then particularly today with the mud, you get into this section of rock here that's not too bad, but if you do have a lot of mud on your tires, I have slipped front and back tires going through this relatively mild rock garden. You can see the bike and the helmet there perspective wise. It's not that gnarly, but it is off camber enough, and there is enough chunk that if you're not getting hooked up really well on your tires, it can toss you around a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of a tendency to push you this way depending on where you're landing. So in the dry, I think this is pretty cool. In the wet, you do have to pay attention. I definitely almost ended my riding day here a couple times just because I was going a little bit too fast and didn't pick a conservative enough line. Rock sections that can be gapped. And that rock garden right there is pretty technical in the wet. Another gappable section there, and you can gap that too. So a lot of fun rock hops through there. Got a trail merge. Nice little lip there. And then the rest of this just berms down to the pickup. And lastly, down toward the bottom, there's a nice bermy section that flows through right before you get to the shuttle pickup. Here's a good example of what most of the berms are like. Top of this berm to where I'm standing, which is down here at the bottom, is right about top of my head. And you can see here, a little bike perspective. In my mind, this is a very typical berm for a bike park. Very predictable, very smooth, nothing to worry about. And then down here we have our last little bit of rock chunk, which will definitely make your fork work if you're hitting it at speed.